Abalimi bakyusizza okuva mu nnima ey'okulima emmere ey'okulya ne badda mu kulima emmere ey'okutunda bafune ensimbi ekiyambye abawerako okukyusa obulamu bwabwe.
Pulojekiti eno yatandika emyaka 11 egiyise nga Pulezidenti Museveni ye yampa amaanyi okutandika. Mu budde obwo nali nvuga takisi e Soroti ne mpulira Pulezidenti Museveni ng'ayogera ku ngeri y'okwongera ku nnyingiza mu maka.
And he was talking about how to improve household income.
With the PDM, you bring back the money after 24 months, but in the third year, you would get another 100 million paid back by those who got first.
Obubaka bwa Pulezidenti Museveni bukyusa endowooza. Okugaggawala tekitegeeza kubeera na ttaka ddene nnyo oba nti wasoma nnyo. Weetaaga okuba ng'olengerera wala n'ossa mu nkola era n'otandikirawo.
So therefore, this PDM is to get all of you out of poverty. That's why we said 100 million per parish per year.
Obubaka buno bukutuusibwako Ministry ya Teknologiya n'okulungamya eggwanga.
The circle started 5 years back with 15 members who were part of the executive, and we managed to use the same 15 members to mobilize the youth and come in to make the 16 associations. So each member took a thought of gathering, mobilizing the 15 people to make associations. So the circle was established. We happened to have 229 members that qualified for 30 millions, which we got in 2021. We used the 30 millions from the presidential initiative to buy the 6 motorcycles, which was a small number to benefit the 229 members, but we managed to use it. The 6 border helped us to go under saving culture. We managed to group our members into 15-15 for saving culture. So the saving culture is 15 groups. They could get 12,000 per day, which 12,000 at the end of the month manages to buy 1 motorcycle. That 1 motorcycle is shared among the 15, so they vote who to take it. The 15 kept on until the 15 months. Every member had to get 1 motorcycle with saving culture. As I say, we managed to get 84 motorcycles from today's report. On daily, a rider, you move Kawempe, Nakawaru, Makinde, you Kampala Metropolitan, and at the end of the day, you have 50,000. That one, we call it average day. There is a time you make 100, that is, we call it the golden day. So most of our members came without anything to use or to support their family. So we helped them by giving them the border as one of the job opportunity the circle is offering to the community.
Tunso kwebaza President Museveni olw'enkola eno gyatutereddewo otukulaakulanya nga najja wano mu ssaka eno nga sirina piki era ndi omu ku bammemba abaasooka okufuna piki. Kati abavubuka abali bateesobola kugula piki wano kiba kyangu. Ogula buguzi migabo $5,000 ng'ofuna piki ng'otandika obulamu. Ate ku layisi tuli bangi. Kuba omuntu tolina miliyoni 5 zigula mpya 5 kitundu. Oba oguza emigabo ate nga gijjo n'otandikira okwo. Tolaba nti oba ofunyemu. Abantu abali batalina mirimu baagifuna. Wawo guno mulimu nno gwennyini tugufunyemu singa simaanyi ga mulimu guno kitegeeza nandibadde sikola ki sina ngeri kigenza bikwasaganya abaana basoma era muki okulya byonna bakwesannyusaamu era kiki era ngutwalanga ensonga enkulu kubanga ofunamu gubinkolera go ge mazima gubinkolera ddala bulungi mukadde tajjula maama gwe nninawo yekka oba oli awo akasimu ate kino bakiri mugira nga noteekayo n'omusindika ate kino egamba tosobola kulwamu ki sente.
Ebyenfuna byange byali bibi ddala naye mu bbanga ery'emyezi omwenda wenfunidde ppiki aye obulamu bwakyukira ddala kubanga siganye nakati nkyapangisa naye luli eri nga landirodyako netutandika nga odduka nosanga nga basiirinze nawo naye kati nsobola omusasula nina omukyala n'abaana bendabirira nsobola okubaliisa bulungi nnyo nga embeera etambula era njagala okwebaza omukulembeze w'eggwanga tujjukira nga ffe abavubuka n'atuleetera pulojekiti eno ey'emyoga kuba ne mami wange saazina neenyumirizaamu kuba akubira akasimu n'omuweerezaayo omutwalo oba ebiri kuba oba ozirina. Njagala otwala omukisa guno okwebaza omukulembeze w'eggwanga olw'okutulowoozaako nga ffe abavubuka n'atuleetera pulojekiti y'emyoga ne tutandika okufuna ku mirimu ne tufuna ebyokukola. Twabeerangawo nga tulina byakukola tutambula butambuzi nakuzzabuza misango naye kati okuva pulojekiti y'emyoga eyajja kati tukola era sente zaffe tuzirabako era olw'okuba nti nasiima nze ng'omuntu nasalawo n'ekifaananyi kya Pulezidenti Museveni kitambuze mu Kampala yonna mwenkolera okubalaga nti Pulezidenti Museveni yantuusizza ku kino kuba nenkolera sente zange era nzifuna era nzirabako.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Good morning and thank you so much for being with us on UBC TV. Welcome to the Extra. Now, I'm Robert Chirabonyonyitono. This morning I'm very happy, very excited. Why? Because I'm having a very interesting character, if you've been following him, on our political scene. This man I'm hosting this morning, he's one of the most, I must say, interesting characters if you look at Uganda's politics since 2011, when he publicly came out and contested for presidency of this country. That is the topmost office in this country. By then, he was a member of the Democratic Party. And if I remember very well, also DP then had a presidential candidate who was Norbert Mao. Now, life moved on and there came the people power. But also he had been very active in what he termed as the DP bloc. Now, when people power came, he was so much with people power, did so much in the initial days of people power, I must say, paperwork, exposure and all that. Now, at time towards the election, I don't know what happened, he left people power. And when he left people power, he concentrated with the DP bloc. Then after events unfolded, this very interesting character on Uganda's political scene moved into now what we call the Democratic Front. Join me, welcome my interesting guest, Samuel Walter Lubega Mukaku. A good morning to you and welcome to our studios.
A good morning, Mr. Chirabo. Really very privileged and humbled to be with you this morning. I've always enjoyed your talk shows. Good interrogation, leveling well with the interviewees that you bring in, and of course focusing on issues. I love the focusing on the issues.
Now, this morning I want to look at political coalitions. We are going in 2026 elections, and of course nominations, both political parties and the Electoral Commission. Yesterday we see these activities seriously taking shape. Lubega Walter Mukaku, to begin with, one wants to know, if you have to talk about Mukaku politically, because that's a question among us many Ugandans, who is Mukaku, who never gives up all the time?
I don't know how he can bring it to the rest of the viewers, but sometimes you have words in the vernacular or sayings or old adages in the vernacular that explain situations better. For lack of one in English, I will use the Luganda one. Asiko bulamu.
That's Samukono.
Nkoba za mbogo. zijja zokka mu bunnya. I mean, this is our country. Who will fight for us? This is our generation. Do we expect the next generation to fight for us, or we must fight for ourselves?
We must fight for ourselves.
And that is the God-given assignment. It's the call. The call for our motherland, the call for our country, and the call for our children and the next generations. So until when God says, until when things improve. And in any case, they never improve beyond beyond some imperfections. It's never be a perfect field. So you continue soldiering on, as you prepare for the next generation.
Now, soldiering on wouldn't be bad, but I think many people wonder, when we see Samuel Lubega Mukaku, from one political party to maybe another coalition, Lubega Mukaku has been with Dr. Kizza Besigye in democratic ways.
Indeed, and I pray for him.
Of expressing
I don't know whether tomorrow I'll be with him. I don't know, given the developments.
So what happens is, people are just wondering, here, there. One would call it, maybe would we say, political prostitution. I mean, one wonders. And quick change, as you're still mastering Mukaku here, the next, your news and Walter Lubega Mukaku is here. So that, the political legacy is where people are wondering. Of course, you know, in politics, there are no permanent enemies, no permanent friends, and the law guarantees this. There's nothing illegal you're doing. But that, you know, legacy.
The fixation of the population on certain things and not really unpacking what's happening around them and around ourselves, I will put myself in, and, and probably not specifically focusing on the trends, is the problem. I have been DP through and through. Maybe until today.
You're still a member of the Democratic Party?
Maybe until today.
Which DP is that?
DP is not something that is owned by an individual manager. So when you see me on a farm as a Frisian, you forget to look at me as a Frisian on the farm, but you look at me as a manager Mulalo. These ones will change. So I have been DP, irrespective of the change of leadership. If I disagree with a leader, that does not make me not to be DP.
But for example, if you're a member of a political party,
if I have disagreed with, say, the workings of President Museveni, that does not make me to be non-Ugandan. But how comes
but you're non-NRM if you don't
yes, I'm not NRM.
agree with your party.
That's a fact.
Now, for Democratic Party, Lubega Mukaku cannot say he's a DP.
No,
you're from elections.
Let's start from there. If I disagree with Museveni, and at some stage I was agreeing with Ben Kiwanuka, that makes me an Ugandan?
No.
So this is the same thing. I disagreed with Norbert Ma's administration. The way it came in through Mbale, I stood to become president of the Democratic Party. I knew that he was not proper DP because of what he was saying, what he was talking at the time, and how he was behaving, and his associates. Haven't I been proved right? Those who took long, they were saying, you are tribalistic, you are this. Haven't I been proven right?
Depending on which side of the coin.
Haven't I?
Because it's still now the president who has
How
elected.
do you call the party the Democratic Party? And you see what happened in Mbarara, and you say that is the Democratic Party? So it's principle. Secondly, the murky waters of the political terrain that we are...
Then you went to people power.
We are in.
You are very vocal with Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu.
No, please. When I am a Catholic, every other time you see me at Old Kampala, on the way of the cross, with Anglicans, with Orthodox, does that make me Orthodox.
No, you're a member of the Interreligious Council.
So People Power is not a party.
But then if you're a...
No. People Power is not a party.
NUP is the party.
So you were talking about, then you crossed.
I think
to
you
People
broke out
Power.
at the time of getting the card to stand for Rubaga.
That is true, because of the mafia disruptors. Because you see, we started the People Power, it was all-inclusive, with all the Jema people, with all the ANT, with all, you remember that. We went and worked for, and supported the Cassianos. That did not make me ANT. Yeah? We even came here for their launch. When they were, I think they were called the new formation. It didn't make me ANT. I wish them well. Yeah? But we worked together with the Muils, with the Sumanis, with all those people. That did not make me Jema. I was DP. And I was trying to show you people that you can be DP and work for the mutual interests.
But now what happens is you've been in all these parties.
No.
You've been... Okay, let me change the word.
Yes.
You've been in all those formations, just like you want to say. But of course, someone would say, if I'm a born-again Christian, and the next day you see me putting on this thing for the Muslims. Then I have the council for the Muslims. I go to Old Kampala this Friday, next Friday, the other Friday. It may disturb my pastors to understand if I'm really a born-again Christian or I converted. Now, Mukaku says yes. I can go to National Unity Platform, don whatever I'm doing, and stand with them. Then after, why? All these coalitions, you move away after disagreement.
Yeah,
these formations.
Why should, if you deviate from the principles and arguments, why should I remain there?
Now, this...
The same in campaigns. We got the people telling them ABC. Then you come back doing XYZ. That's a social contract. People must learn to respect and keep their promises, their contracts.
Now, Samuel, given that background, because like I told my viewer, I have a very interesting guest who has been in all these what he calls formations.
And you are telling me here that one thing about you, you may come late, but once you promise, you promise.
You promise.
Yes, I keep
That is
my
a credit I'll
promise.
give to
Yes.
you. You've never
I keep
failed
my promise.
to appear on a talk show. Maybe you can come late, but you'll always make it, as long as you're promised to be there. But now, our viewer, this brings us to the topic of this morning, which is the opposition coalitions as we go to 2026 general elections. Now, Mukaku has been in a number of these formations, and even at the founding early stages. But sad to say that many he has been part and moved out and jumped into others. But he says the purpose why they were formed is because it ceases to be. Now, Mukaku, as we are moving to 2026, I've had some key figures in the opposition talk about coalitions. I saw Jimmy Akena of Uganda People's Congress visiting Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. Elias Lukwago, PPF, talked about this so much. I've heard Sumani Basalirwa, Jema, talk about this so much. And as we are here, I have a DP, he says, maybe till today, a DP, who is now in what we call Democratic Front. Many people know this as Honorable Matthias Mpuga's party. That's what many people will say because it was launched here not so long ago. Now, this is also another coalition, I want to believe, not a political party. Is it a political party? Is it because I've seen you still from the stages.
Comrade Chiravo, and I know your analytical faculties are some of the very best. Maintain. Maintain. You see, don't be like the others. Now they have started naming it Mpugas.
That's why I said some.
Why are you not talking? I came here at the time when I said we must change track. We must now go back to reconstruct the people power. Yeah, we must go back to coalesce quality leadership. Mpuga was still in the NUP, you remember, and he was still deputy president of the NEP, and he was still leader of opposition. I came here mobilizing people, let's go to Africana, let's do this. Why don't you call it mine?
What an interesting show this morning. I just enjoy Mukaku, to be
but
very
now
honest.
it is named Mpugas. It's named Mpugas.
But that's why I said that most of these coalitions, I've always, and I repeat it, Mukaku has been very, very so much involved. And you've just reminded me when I gave you a call, I told you, Mukaku, what the hell are you doing here? I hear you're leading a group of people. And you told me, yes, we are leading. Well, after so many months, actually, it matured. Now, but of course, I don't know how it has gone.
You remember what was there eventually transformed into people power when was started?
Yes.
And we started. Where was Chagulanyi?
When you told me.
Where was Chagulanyi? Then later on, they call it Chagulanyi. This is where we have the problem. And in Uganda, it's a big problem. NRM became Museveni's. Now, DP has become Mao's. Now.
But what is this all about? For many who may not be getting the Democratic Front, what is this thing?
Democratic Front is a newborn baby, though having transformed from what was called the Green Partisan Party of Uganda. Green Partisan Party has been there since inception, not really growing, and it's as a small party, like many others that we have. I remember when we got problems with the Mao's disruption, the last reunions and people powers, you remember, and then the Chagulanyi disruption. We still talk to them, and they were not willing to rebrand, to transform, and do that. But we left them. This time round, as we started the voyage, or as we started the new approach, new but a little bit the old ideas of say, why don't we recoalesce quality leadership? Why don't we reconstruct people power? Because the other people power became now taken up, captured by the mafia disruptors. And I came here. So the leaders of the Green Partisan Party said, I think what the course you're taking, we now like, and we have experienced something. We would like to be part of you. Remember when we were trying to create it as Holy Alliance, which later on transformed into Democratic Alliance. And they said, we want to be part of the Democratic Alliance, especially after Masaka event. And we told them, yeah, it's all right. But then they said, we want to come at the same table with you as SDP, as PDP, as JMA, as the others. We said, it's okay. We need to rebrand. We said, it's okay. They went seriously. They started transforming and rebranding. That's about 20 months ago. That's a year and about 8 months. Call it a year and a half. So they started on the process. We were keeping tabs with them. They went through all that the Electoral Commission required, the gazettements that was required, and ending 2024, they now got a clear to have their delegates conference, and which was gazetted. There was a team that wanted to join them, did join them. So they were really transforming. And in January, they got the delegates conference, and they were gazetted again. You see these processes in Gazette. And in March, they got a certificate. When they got a certificate, they said, now we are here. Can we now join you fully as Democratic Alliance? Said, no, that one is okay. So they again had another delegates conference. When they came to us, they said, we don't want to be DA. We want to be in a tighter arrangement, which we have been working on since we announced them. And we're about to finish. And I'm telling you, the DF is going to be our vehicle for 3 things. Number 1, a common electoral platform.
What do you mean by a common electoral platform?
I'm going to explain. Number 2, to have a minimum policy agenda. Number 3, to have a minimum governance agenda. Because many times, even those who end up, sometimes they don't win the elections. But there is some bit of governance. You saw how NUP led what was supposed to be an alliance of the people power. They got the members of parliament, they became the new leaders of opposition, not prepared. Letdowns. So we need to prepare people so that we don't let them down. Even when you don't win power in its fullness, but there is still some form of power and the mandates that you get. How do you share it? What we saw last time, people come, they say they were ready for government, they were not even ready for opposition. Okay? How do you lead the entire opposition of full parties and other and citizens' formations? This has been a failure on the part of NUP. I don't want to be like that. What if you win power? What if you win power?
And sometimes it makes me wonder, are you people really, and I love the fact that you've stated it, what if you don't get power? Because sometimes I get scared and I'm like, now if it happens and they get power, how do we move from that step?
Will you enjoy that chaos? It will be anarchy. So we are serious people.
Most of you have the slogan, Museveni agende. We want to remove President Museveni. That is all. As long as we've done that, the rest will fit in.
For me, it goes beyond that. I know the challenges.
But I've seen countries that have...
Having stood as presidential candidate, I know the challenges the next leader is going to have, the next leadership team is going to have, and the country will have.
Now,
so it's not isolated. You look at the country, you look at the team of leadership, and the groups coalescing together, and the leader that you are going to make. So that's why we are talking about okuteka teka. Yeah? Prepared leadership. A leadership that knows that the country that you are taking on must be an enterprise for all, not just for a few. It's an enterprise for give everyone space. Even in the opposition, you can't give everyone space. Even those who have made you, then you will let down. And I don't want to be that.
Now, let's look at this one. 2026 is just around the corner.
Yes.
Aren't you racing against time?
True.
And are you coming as a party for political relevancy that, of course, even us during 2026 were talked about, we dominated airwaves and all that? Or are you coming with the major purpose of conquering power, retaining, and of course consolidating power?
Hiyo ni mchezo ya wenye uhuru leo. That is the game of those who have power today. That's what they want. That's what they want. But I'm telling you, this country is ours. The next generation, 10, 15 years, cannot have a contribution now. It's us. Okay? And that's what I believe in. Now, people say there is no time.
Yes. The election is just around the corner.
Have we not been exonerated? Those of us who have been saying, before we do anything, we have lost lots of lives. We have created a chaos. We have put our country on the path of destruction. Why don't we do some minimum electoral, constitutional, and administrative reforms? And we categorize them. And the Constitution allows them. They told us there's no time.
Yes.
What happened yesterday in Parliament? How quickly did we change the UPDF law and the political parties, whatever they wanted? You see, sometimes we talk like we are not Ugandans. We are not Ugandans who are on Mars or somewhere in the outer space or a country that has been taken to China. We are still the same people. What is the magic about 12th January? During Semogere, the election was about March, towards March. Okay? During Besige 1, it was in February, ending. Besige 2 in February. You see, the next government will swear in May. You are telling me there is no time. Secondly, there is no money for the minimum electoral, constitutional, and administrative reforms. Do you know that even, for example, an issue like that one of the military court martials and that are controversial, we can put them in a referendum, which is held on the same day, within the same precincts, and the same arrangement like the general elections, so that the next government can work on them, so that the country can remain at peace, united, and focused.
I
on
do
the
agree with
future.
you.
So,
But now
but people say there is no time.
for
There's
your
no time.
political,
Are you not
for
late?
your political formation and many other, because now your Democratic Front is just a case in study.
Yeah.
Because you're also now having the likes of PPF.
Yes.
Thinking of that with the NUP. We don't know. Robert Chagulanyi tried to disclose the principle of national unity platform, but not so much. Jimmy Aken has decided to totally not disclose anything. And we are seeing quite a number of political party heads and very active people saying, no, it is time we galvanize efforts. It's time we come together, we work in tandem, we ensure that if we are to make things change, let's work together. But one would say now you're going to work together. Working together, first in coalitions like we are talking about, it's a coalition, people who came on board with you. There is so much like who is going to stand where. Because one of the things I've also seen in coalitions, these positions become a problem. Now, if I own a political, sorry, not own, if I have a political party, you have a political party, and someone has a political party.
By the way, members own the party.
Okay, if members own. But I don't want to use that word owning because I think it's a danger to our nation.
Yeah.
When we cling names of people to own political parties, even their mindset go and own these political parties. I know of a political party, not an opposition political party, where people will tell you, once so and so has spoken, you get those statements? But he's heading a political party. You mention anything, wow. So when we say that owns a political, that's where we go wrong.
Because in the analysis and the understanding and the conceptual understanding, they move away from the principles. When you're creating a political party, the membership own the political party. Like when you're creating Uganda, the citizens of Uganda are the sovereign. Yesterday when they're passing the other law, they made the sovereign to be, to go under, to be below the manager.
Don't forget, these were the people's representatives. They were voices of the people. These are members of parliament. They are voices of the people. They represent you, they represent me. So they are representing our wishes.
And you have just said it. Now, when we say you are the leader, you are only first among equals, don't make yourself the king.
Okay, now, Mukaku, we move on with what we are discussing.
Now you are starting to understand why I move away from some of it, because they capture the institutions and they think they are their institutions. When we create an institution, it's a vehicle, it's a vessel for all of us. It must have space for everyone, and we must all have control over it.
Now, how do you sail through with this highly commercialized and profitable politics of this country? Because now, Mukaku, when I come to you, have come with my brother Ratolos, have come with my colleagues. Now we go to the party. We bring about 3 political parties. We form the Democratic Front, we form whatever is going to happen. If there is anything in my profession that has ever annoyed me, I may not mention the names, but okay, this was public information. When we slept at a certain place, I think that place is called Naguru, around police headquarters.
Yes.
There were very good VIPs in this country who made us sleep there, waiting for them to declare who has come out as a sole candidate. And we slept because we had to break the news. We had local journalists, international journalists. And in the morning, I think it was around midday, these people come out and they had failed to agree on a single candidate. Mukaku, I felt very upset.
Taken aback.
Because these were elder people, I can't mention them, key political party figures in this country. They came up with I want to mention its name, people will understand it. It's a coalition kind of to take on NRM's candidate, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. And they failed. After about locking themselves in media, we only see who has come out and you whisper, then you have a story, that pressure you're on. And in the morning, around noon, they come out and agree that let each one go. They have failed to have a single candidate to take on President Yoweri Museveni. And I'll send regards to Professor Gilbert Bukenya, our good friend, Honorable Mama Mbabazi, Dr. Kizabe CJ, and a number that were in that team. Now, money is a challenge in our politics. Mukako, I will come with you, but I want a card for Rubaga South. You're going to give me a card here. Let's look at how you're going to overcome that giant. Because I'm tempted to think it is one of the things that is failing this coalition.
Yeah, to a larger extent, you're right. But also, not learning from the past is a very big problem. Why the NRA succeeded in their venture after about 28 years. Some people think about the 5 years. No, it was not. They started way back in 1968, those who were really on it. Why they succeeded was learning from the past, knowing what they actually want and the assignment in front of them. Under President Museveni, and he has been busy because he knows what makes you tick. He knows what cements people because he has gone through it. And people don't want even to learn from his voyage, from his experience. And we only say, atukala kasemiaka ana. But you have to learn. Even from the enemy or the opponent of yours, you have to learn. If you're Man City and you don't learn from Man U and Arsenal, you'll never beat them. If you're Arsenal and you want to come back, learn from what Guardiola is doing. So, and those who have learned from him, like Liverpool and the rest, have given him a bloody nose. This is what I'm saying. Where you started, said, Mukaku, but you have changed, you go from one formation to another. The man, many people here respect and they say he's a successful, he came from where? He tells you DPU, PCU, and then he tells you FRONASA, PRIF, NRA, all these ones. Even in government, NRMO. You think he's stupid? You look at the terrain, and you find something that works, and then you are wise. If you want to, Einstein says, if you want to achieve a prize, and the prize is so precious, don't do the same things always, and you call yourself not dumb. You'll be the most dumb person if you continue to do the same things, wanting to achieve a certain prize. What I'm telling you is, since people started to try and form coalitions, IPFC, Semo Gerere, Reform Agenda, PAFO, Reform Agenda, and so many, IPC. Now TDA, you have just talked about it. Do you know, when we came on the scene as young Democrats, people said, no, these are young people, they don't have money, they don't have this, how do you? We made great inroads, which the Kagwas and the rest did not do, even within the party.
But also when you talk about the young Democrats, I don't know where we lost that.
Called the Democratic Party, we made inroads. And on the country, we made a mark. We learned something.
You are very strong and forced.
But then let's come to people power. Reunions. No, you study and know. Listen, BSG is very powerful. The BSG is now starting smear. You only need to listen. We can work together, but listen. When they didn't listen, it collapsed. The empire called BSGism collapsed. And not because BSG was bad. That's why you've seen me working with him in PFT, People's Front for Transition. And he also learned that probably there was some mistakes. I also learned that I could have made some mistakes. When we created people power, you need to appeal to people. But what we missed, people power does not belong to an individual. If you individualize, if you create a mafia king within whom you can't correct, you can't advise, you can't do this, then it becomes futility. It ends up in futility. So what happens? I have learned my lessons. That's why we are now talking about the Democratic Alliance. An alliance for the people, by the people, and of the people. We are not reinventing the wheel. You only have to realize that it must be driven by the people. Ideas, accommodating ideas, mutually respecting others, have mutual trust, mutual respect, and irrigation of mutual interest. The parties and citizen formation have interests. You must accommodate them as you fight on to achieve what you want. This is exactly what we have been telling. Even President Museveni himself has something to learn. Didn't he get trapped into what he called a cooperation agreement with Mao? You go to parliament, what a shabby thing, what a messy thing. Because we have been telling him, look, the law you created, it can also become a problem to you. You can't effectively form a merger like our friends in Kenya, South Africa, and everywhere. You can't effectively form a coalition because of the problems you put. Why don't we deal with them so that it is the same as they used to talk about, we are all in the NRM, but it was saving face. The idea was that we can coexist. While I'm in my party, you are in your party, we compete, but advise each other and help each other. This is what we are now doing. The people who went to DDA, they only went to get positions. And I've just told you, in the people power, don't you remember when we called in people, even the leading FDC then, and told them, look, we can have a new model. You announced in Makerere, the one-to-one model. And at the end of the day, we can agree on a presidential candidate, all of us, but when everyone is going to benefit and when everyone is going to irrigate each other's interests. They didn't believe in us. We tried it within people power. Unfortunately, those who created NUB became the major disruptors. If you are not NUB, you are not with us. Now, is that people power?
Well,
so I've told you. That's why we now, first of all, launched the DA. In the DA, we have those minimum agendas that I've explained. Reconstructing this, getting back, coalescing that, focusing minimum reforms, and electoral constitution, and that. It's a cooperation. It's a collaboration. It stops at that. It's not very tight, but we can all work together.
But what is your strength on Uganda's political calendar?
With the PFF, with the NUP. When we brought the idea, the NUP said, for us, that's not how we do things. Now there's something to talk about. We need to work together. Samuel Gere was the first one. IPFC, Interpolitical Forces Cooperation. He did not force Cecily Ogwal to become DP. He did not force Kenny Williams to become DP. You remember?
I do remember.
So that is the...
But now, I want us to come back to the present. What is your political significance of this coalition on Uganda's political calendar?
Never mind about that.
I mean, what is there to change? Aren't we having puppies barking at a leopard?
If you want me to tell you that, at some stage there was a Museveni in UPM and NRM who was a puppy. Said, "Iyo ni nyoka. We shall fight them and leave them in the bush." Where is Obote? Is UPC, and where is Museveni now?
He's the
for 40
president.
years. Don't you remember? I've just reminded you when we started the Uganda Young Democrats. They said those are kids. Where are many of our friends, including the Namayajas, the other side, the Tadwongs. When we started the People Power, FDC said, these are small. You remember? And we were taken on seriously. But we remained focused. Eventually, isn't today the formation we created bigger than FDC?
Yes.
I never lose, as long as I still have my head, and as long as I'm focused on the principle. And now I'm telling you, we shall recreate the People Power under the Democratic Alliance. I don't mind other people creating other alliances, but I know what can befall them. Secondly, we can work in party blocks. That's why we created the DP block. And the party block can now go further in more tighter discipline within the alliance itself, anchor the alliance in a more tighter discipline, have a common electoral platform, a common policy agenda, and a common governance agenda. Preparing ourselves. If I get a chance, you say, oh, Sam, I now again believe that's going to happen. This is exactly what I'm telling you. Well, don't worry about the others who are just opportunistically allying, opportunistically coming together. And they are not genuine. And we have always told them, Even in alliances, you need genuinity. You need genuine people. Don't just come for the sake of saying, as long as I become mayor, as long as I become president. No. Think about the wider picture. Think about the country you want to lead. Think about the journey you want to travel.
How genuine is your alliance when it's also viewed in two sides? One, these are people who have been on the political scene and they are looking for relevance.
So must we kill them all in order to...
Now, the Mukakus, Honorable Matthias Impuga, Mabike, he's called Honorable Mabike. I've seen others that, no, Robert, these are people, they have first and foremost been everywhere. Now they don't want to, the Dr. Bedi bankers, they don't want to lose their, you know, when you're a politician in Uganda, there's that stake you have and the privileges you have. Some are saying, no, these are most, these people are given money, you know, to come and disorganize and create something. So genuinity when it comes to your coalition as well, the people who poke those holes in you and they're saying, you see, I remember one time when I gave you a call and I sent you something saying, Bade, here I am and I'm asking, Baba, what they sent him? You remember that? Baba, what they sent him? Million bitano. You know, because it was a recording somewhere. So how genuine then are you that you're coming for the principles you're telling us and you're not coming to stay relevant as Mukaku, that on functions we can recognize you and these members, that actually in politics, where today we know there is so much money in politics, this is not another thing of people who are there for funding, who may even have been called upon and say, can you accomplish this mission? Yes, we can. There you go.
Syria ayolesa mubiri. Yeah, but I can see what you can have. Just looking at you and knowing what you are. If you haven't analyzed that, you'll soon come to reality. Secondly, many times since when I was in Nkova Zambogo and Young Democrats, valide. But at the end of the day, we have a track record. My track record and theirs, if you put them on the weighing scale, you will see what I've achieved and what they have failed to achieve. For the first time, I was supposed this time round with the new smear of social media and whatever, you know, how did we call them? The fierce dogs sent to attack and tear. I've taken some to court. And I think next week or the other week, if it was not the Heroes' Day, they would have appeared in court. And I'm going to get money out of them like Ben Chwanuka used to do. But this is what I want to say. Let's learn from the past. Seven did not have to kill the Bidandi Salis, the Kirunda Kivedindas, and the Kintu Musokes, and all those people to work with a new blood. We all need each other. Besija 28 was as relevant as Bidandi Sali and Kirunda Kivedinda and Kintu Musoke.
True.
Mayombo as a Kadogo was as important. Where do we get the new ideas that when you are there, at 41, 42, 45, you call yourself a Genize and you say, that is stupidity. And you attack the Katikiros, and you attack the Chavazingas, and you attack everyone, and you think you're making progress. I can't forget that last time when we tried as much as possible to flip Buganda and Busoga, you know how I work, and you used to tell me, sometimes I call you are in Busoga or whatever. We were trying our level best to make sure we flip Buganda and Busoga in the opposition fold. Unfortunately, the disruptors, the mafia disruptors, and led by two, the Chagulan team and then the Mao team, eventually we lost the North, we lost the Teso, we lost everything. We only won in Buganda and the Busoga. Now, only 57 MPs. We want 530. I'm not oblivious of that. Those who want to be oblivious of that can call themselves winners, but I know the Ngule does not come from the Mary, the so-called Mary in the Indian Ocean. You must work, you must strategize, you must focus. We must now win back the North, East, central and whatever. If we don't do that, because even in Uganda we are losing it. When you attack the Kabaka, what do you expect? We didn't win Bukedi, Bugishu, Sebei, Karamoja, Lango, Acholi, Madi, West Nile, Bunyoro, Toro, Rwenzori, Ankole, Chigezi. How do you win power when you don't have those ones? I'm not stupid. Let those ones who feel like that put their heads in the sand, and they know where they will end up. If we don't do that this election, we are going to lose it, but we shall have to do it next election. This is what I'm saying. I have started on a journey where I feel I'm sure. And whatever I advocate, if I say minimum electoral, constitutional, and administrative reforms, I mean it. When I say let's do something about, if we can't coalesce constitutionally and effectively, if we can't merge, find ways to skirt that, but eventually, actually, Bukedde. Museveni is now talking about a coalition. I'm sure behind the scenes is working on a ruling coalition behind the scenes, and he wants to do it while others are not doing it. I cannot let him to do that. What I can do is tell him, come in the light, do this, don't think about the stupid successions, let it be transition. I should also tell the same to Kyagulanyi and all the other people. This country, if we don't do that, we are going to lose people. We are going to end up on a destructive path like Rwanda, Sudan, the Bashir is Egypt, Sudan, Egypt is Mubarak, Libya, Assad. I don't want us to take that path. We can talk to each other. Even when we don't agree on many things, we can have a minimum. And I'm only saying, take us as an example. In the DF, PDP, SDP, the DP bloc, other citizen formation, and others, I tell them we can be in an alliance. An alliance which is wider on corporate, a little loose, but working together on cooperation and collaboration. But even within it, a tighter alliance, which would have been a merger. And we are saying we can leave DF to be the main front line for those parties agreeing to have a minimum electoral platform, a common electoral platform, a minimum policy agenda, and a minimum governance agenda, so that we prepare for the future. And the future is not very far from us. Even where we have failed to do those electoral reforms, we need to make an impact. We need to get MPs that match up, that can mark the other side. Look at, and I want to end on this one.
Okay, because time is also...
Look at, the other time in People Power, it was me to mark Tadwong, it was me to mark Abiabakam in that electoral commission of the People Power. Shortly after Kyagulanyi comes and says, if you are not, nope, you are not with us. We fell out, and that's why we fell out.
I thought you were denied a party ticket for
No, we fell out on that. You didn't know what was going on. We fell out on that. I said, we must not conscript people. And then he said, I can't work with Mukaku. Eventually I had, the only thing, it was a Thursday, on Monday he had a press conference where I was not, and talking all nonsense that I am biased, I bring people of DP, and I take money off the people. They are the ones who are doing it, and he's smearing it
just on like the DP bloc comrades of yours did and said, Mukaku ceases to be, you should no longer even use that as DP bloc.
Now, who is proven right? I didn't chase them. They said they want to chase me. Can you chase somebody where you have not been? But let you not divert me on that.
Yes.
Now, in just a stroke of a pen, 2020, before we even go to power, Mukaku was eliminated. Sula Chidandala was eliminated. Mabike was eliminated. Kasivante was eliminated. Many multitudes. Then the Mwirus, the Karuhangas, the Suman was almost sacrificed. The Kasiano Wadri was sacrificed. You lose quality members of parliament that would have marked Otafire, Kajiji, Baliomos. You want those people now. You have the Mukasas, you have the Solos, you have the whatever that you have. Have they marked those people? They can't even mark Chauffeur.
I can just
they
find,
can't even mark Chauffeur.
I can just
now,
find
this
more
time,
time.
This time
and
round, they want
again.
Sweet Mama, Selector Devi,
I don't want
to
my
come and mark those
producer
people.
to take me off set before the show is done. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm very happy that we've been able to look at coalitions in Uganda. Is it possible for 2026? With what Mukako has told you, with the affairs going on, I leave the answer to you. Have the best of your day. May the good Lord bless you. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archive stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspire.